share my screen, and then we'll get it going. So, okay. So, well, today I'm gonna very briefly introduce some of the tools that we from DFS or from Data Field Space we've created, but also because we've applied them in a real case emergency. In this case, Myanmar 2025. Some of you might be familiar with it, but I'm very briefly going to explain those tools, and then we're going to get into well, lessons learned. Before that, I want to get back to the survey that Kenny already mentioned. We're going to give a few hints of that. We're going to make it public anyway in the 4th of August. But apart from the reported AI usage, which, yeah, it's 70% of the people use it on a weekly or daily basis. Considering it's a sector, the humanitarian, and the audience of the survey was humanitarian, and it's a sector that by default is reluctant to this type of adoption. So the results are striking. But what I do believe it's something we should discuss, or at least reflect on, is the fact that, well, that there is little to no organizational trainings, and I think that's changing. And today, I think we're studying that. But the fact that people are using commercial agents, and I mean, you'll see many of those reports, but many of those replies. But the fact that people are using AI behind the backs of their organizations is what I think is something to flag here. It's happening already. So adoption, it won't be easily stopped, in the sense that almost everyone is using it now, and organizations do not seem to be a barrier. So when you cannot fight such a revolution, I would say, on the use of or the management of data, it's something that we need to work on, and trainings are needed. The same as, for example, I'm not going to focus that much on the fact that, yeah, people use like commercial ones, which is something totally legit, but the fact that there is no AI policy in most organizations. Almost half of them explicitly do not have an AI policy, and this is something to reflect upon, and maybe as you need to be set as an objective, or as something to work on for the next year. This being said, well, I'm gonna very briefly explain some of the tools that we designed from DFS, and how do we use them in this Myanmar use case. We do have three main tools, and well, the idea is to provide a safe space for AI use. Two of them are purely humanitarian. You're going to see now. One of them is more open to the rest of the community. But the idea is to bring those tools and to try to solve the challenge of overwhelming amount of data, time pressure, etc. We have a chatbot, which you might be familiar with, that is GANNET Virtual Assistant. And well, the chatbot itself is well, it's the usual one, or it doesn't differ that much from other services. But what really makes a difference is what's behind the chatbot. So basically, the knowledge hub and the database behind it is all the information, or the public information that any humanitarian would need. So based on our experience as an organization that does analytics, and it's something, well, my job actually shifted from doing pure analytics, manual ones, traditional ones, to bring together those AI, or natural language processing, and analytics. But the interesting thing here is what's behind of it. So apart from the fact that, well, it doesn't hallucinate, it will tell you 100 times that it does not know it. There's not enough information on that. But it's the knowledge base. It's open in the sense that if you, as humanitarians, feel that there might be something missing in there, it's open to you. That's part of it. Then we have Situation Hub, but it's based on the same data knowledge, that it contains relief web, main media portals, academia when it's not under or behind the paywall, and UN documents, etc., etc. But the Situation Hub goes a bit beyond and said, what if I don't want to query every day? And what if everyone queries differently, so we cannot do trend analysis? So we said, what if we create a portal that has a preset, semi-automated analysis based on the same documents or knowledge database, but we converted what is or has been our usual analysis framework, a multi-sectoral kind of one that is used for emergencies, but turned it into a network of prompts that then become a semi-automated analysis. There's always a human in the loop, so there's always an analyst that is behind it, but we spend really a fraction of the time that we used to spend. And also we have a media monitor and basically a crisis overview that I think it's worth mentioning because we pull a lot of data from APIs. Soon we're going to have, as part of this knowledge database, all the quantitative side of HDX through the HAPI. So the idea is to bring the data from wherever it's at rest, to try not to duplicate efforts and to streamline data flows. So the idea is to bring what is public and out there, because there are great people doing great things already. There's no need for that application. The third one, I'm not going to go in depth into this one, but basically it's a siloed workspace. And this is that, and for organizations that work with sensitive data or that might not want to depend on that knowledge database, well, these organizations can work on a siloed and a closed environment. Many people using it already, a lot of organizations in many countries, but I'm gonna go now into the actual impact in the Myanmar earthquake that I think it's an interesting use case. There's something to flag here, and that I might have not mentioned before, but something really important for the Myanmar case was the fact that we had already deployed a situation hub there. So data preparedness, how AI can help us in, like, you can't imagine how helpful it can be in that, in being prepared for any crisis. And people focus a lot on the disaster response, but I do believe that baseline analysis, data availability is where it really makes the difference. We were lucky in a way that we had chosen Myanmar to deploy a situation hub a few weeks before, so data was there already. Earthquake hits, and then we say, okay, first we can do before, like media starts to publish something, is okay, let's analyze what are the area profiles of those most affected areas. So we provided in a matter of 2-3 hours, maybe not the most detailed the most detailed area profiles, but good enough for a first aid to know what we were facing. And then we started using the virtual assistant. We use the virtual assistant the same way every day. So we provided the data that, the cell needed in this case. So it's okay, we need a daily briefing. Then with that and with our analysts, we were able to pull this and to provide with this information in a matter of hours. But then also we created what we called it the emergency situation hub. We said, okay, let's bring all these daily briefings into a site that partners can just check anytime. This we could do it in a matter, as I said, of hours, when usually, and in past operations, it took us at least a couple of days to get settled. So it is fast, and for emergencies, especially sudden onset disasters, on which, being fast is extremely relevant. It's great. Then we get into more of a routinary type of response, on which we use the tools and our analysts to provide whatever is needed. What gives this type of tool, again, here is flexibility, ad hoc requests. So we were able, for example, to pull township level analysis when there was no primary data from this SDR. So you can be as specific as you want, and you'd get those insights. Again, maybe not as deep as a proper MSNA, but what was needed back in that emergency. And at some point we just, we step behind, or we step back a little bit, and then we just remain available for these tools to be used. There's something interesting here, that is that we trained a little bit some of the national partners there. They saw, for example, that local partners, so that they could prompt and query in Burmese, which is also something interesting, that AI allows data and analysis to be democratized and accessible for everyone. So I think it's a good lesson learned. It was the first time that it was somehow institutionalized, the use of this tool. So I'm just grateful for being able to deploy what we thought was a great tool, and to see that it got traction and it was acknowledged as key to the response. I could be speaking about this for many more minutes, but I'm gonna try to stick to the minutes agreed. Later on, we can discuss on the limitations. There are many, the risks, of course, and what can AI or NLP in this case do for us. And demystify a little bit. It's not a replacement. It's not a god. It's just a companion, and I like to define it as such. I'm gonna leave it here. later on, if you want, we can discuss a bit more on this use case. So back to you, Lucian. I hope it was clear enough for the short time that we have.
Thanks a lot, Jose, for this. And I must say, I've heard also your CEO talking about the tool online in different webinars or post